Howdy guys, welcome back to Black Sheep Meadow. I'm Brent, and to get y'all up to date, if y'all are new to the channel, me and Amber live on a 8.2 acre homestead in the eastern side of Central Texas. This is our seventh, I believe our seventh year here, and this year for 2023, we are attempting to grow 80% of all of our own food, which leaves us with a lot of projects on the table. It's a lot of weight we're trying to move. So this week, we're actually going to discuss some biochar. And biochar is essentially, it is just charcoal that we are going to fill with nutrients or fertilizer so it can be slowly released in the garden soil at a later time. First off, for our charcoal, we go through about 10 to 12 cords of wood every single year here. So I end up with a lot of fireplace ash. I end up with, I'm fortunate because I know where my charcoal is coming from. It's not a pressure treated or some type of foreign wood or a cedar or something of that nature. Everything that I burn here is either going to be an elm, oak, pecan, or some other reliable source of hardwood. You know, we're not burning pine or cedar or nothing of that nature. So going back to this charcoal, it's like I said, it's a sponge. And if we were to apply this charcoal to our garden right now, it's actually going to absorb the nutrients that are in the soil, competing with the plants that we're trying to grow. In this particular case, I'm going to apply this to our cornfield. We have I believe this year it's going to be like a 60 by 150, 170 foot cornfield. And in the years past, I've always had an issue with nitrogen depletion in the soil by the time 45 to 60 days comes around, when the corn plant still needs the nitrogen in the soil to produce its stalk and so on. So my idea this year is I'm going to make biochar. I'm going to fill this little chunk of charcoal, actually several thousand little chunks of charcoal, just like this, up with nitrogen. We're going to use a bone meal. This is just an organic bone meal. I'm sorry, not a bone meal, blood meal. And here in the future, we're going to butcher some chickens here in about another 2 months or probably about 2 months. We're going to butcher some chickens, and we're going to use the blood from them for our bone meal in the future there. But this is store bought. Y'all can get this almost at any different box store. Blood meal is very high in nitrogen. I think above 13%, if I'm not mistaken. So it's going to take probably about 30 days to saturate this little chunk of charcoal with nitrogen fertilizer. So whenever we apply it to the soil, it's no longer absorbing anything. It's actually going to start releasing very slowly. So by the time the 45, 60 day mark comes around on our field after we plant, the biochar is still going to be releasing usable nitrogen for my corn plant. So I'm going to get y'all down here and show y'all how I do this. It's very windy today here on the homestead, which is that's part of the game in Central Texas. It's windy every day. So I apologize if the audio doesn't turn out right, but let's follow along. All right, so this is all of our fireplace ash, even our charcoal out of the fireplace. The charcoal is what's incompletely burnt. It potentially could still make some coals. That being said, I'm going to use it for beneficial garden purposes. The white ash that you see, as far as most of the material that's in it, it's still a high calcium content material, which we will use for tomatoes or peppers or some other type of soil amendment where it's needed later on. This screen, I like to use two containers. These are same as our garden containers that we always use. We have several videos on these. The first container is what we're going to sift the white ash into to separate the charcoal from. This sift I made for Amber, I don't know, probably about a year ago. It's got, I want to say this is a 1/4 inch screen in the bottom of it, and it's just screwed to the bottom of this square box. We're going to I'm going to go ahead and separate. I've got probably 4 buckets of this fireplace ash that we're going to separate, so I'm going to put y'all on a time lapse. I need to add one more thing before we start sifting this. Get yourself some type of respirator where you're not breathing in the ashes. All right, so we got our fireplace ash sifted. It's probably a little hard to see down there. We probably got about a foot or 1 to 1.5 cubic foot of actual charcoal, like this. If I can get y'all right up in there. And then we have about, I'm going to say closer to 3 cubic foot of just white ash. This white ash is still usable. I like to take, it can be used as a calcium supplement for, like, say, tomatoes or peppers or anywhere you need calcium. Calcium plays a vital role in water transportation throughout the plant. So if you're having any of those issues, you can add that. If you're having those issues, it really needs to be added several weeks before you actually notice the issue with the plant, though. However, I even add this to the chicken coop. The chickens dust themselves in it. I guess it helps produce or reduce the chance of mites, etc., and so on. So, but for the time being, we're going to focus on the charcoal here. I'm actually going to pound this up into a little bit smaller chunks. I don't need them quite that big. I want the entire mass of the charcoal, even though it's low density. I want the entire structure of the charcoal to be able to absorb as much as it possibly can. So we're going to do that right quick. Alrighty, so I screwed up with the camera and left y'all on time warp while I was talking, which means y'all had no audio. So, actually, I'll probably put that clip in the video. So what I did was I took our dry charcoal. Our charcoal needs to be extremely dry. It was approximately 2 days old, fresh out of the wood stove and our fire pit. I applied, I did 2.5 gallons of water that I applied 2 pounds of blood meal to, mixed it thoroughly, and then applied it to our charcoal. When I applied it to the charcoal, you could start to hear the charcoal pop and crackle, and what is happening in that case is the moisture with the blood meal is actually being absorbed into all the cracks and crevices of the charcoal. Now that I got the 2.5 gallons in here, I'm going to get you a little bit closer where you can see. I took, just mixed it around to where, I don't know if y'all can see that consistency, where it's about like that, where there's still plenty of moisture around every piece of charcoal for the charcoal to absorb. That moisture has the blood meal mixed in with it, so that charcoal is absorbing all the nitrogen and the blood meal that's in there. I'm going to continue making this stuff throughout the day till this container is approximately 75% full. At what point I'm going to put a lid on it, and that is going to sit for the next 30 days. Every 1 to 2 days I'm going to come out here and stir it up just to release any air pockets that build up inside the mixture. In the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to apply this to our garden before I hill my rows for our corn. So all this charcoal, this is actually a very fast pace of doing it. I could take this charcoal, and even with the wood ash, I can go and apply it directly to the chicken coop if I wanted to inside their run. And over the next year, the chickens are going to kick it and scratch it. Their manure load is going to add ammonia and nitrogen to the charcoal, which I can apply to the garden next year. That takes a lot longer to do though. In this particular case, I need this in the next 30 days or so. So this is the process of speeding it up. This is BioChar. And it's going to slowly release the nitrogen, in this case where we're activating it or charging it with nitrogen, but it's going to slowly release the nitrogen for our cornfield this spring. So hang in there with me. Alrighty folks, so that pretty much concludes my video today. If y'all wouldn't mind, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, ring the little bell, leave a comment, share us. If y'all have any questions, please drop them down below. In the meantime, we'll see y'all next week.